Okay, welcome to our training. We are going to go over all of the practice problems for the IRS training modules, and we're going to start by going to the Tax Software Practice Lab. The password is learn2, LEARNTWO. And so since I'm already logged in, we're going to go to the first problem. So if you're looking in your book, here's the table of contents. We're going to do exercise 1, Beringer. And we're going to start with the intake interview sheet. And you can see this is where her name is, this is where her address is, her date of birth, all these things that we're going to enter onto the main information screen in the practice lab. So first off, the correct answer, for those that just wanted to see what the answer is $3,342 that she will get. And since it's green, that means that she's going to get that money back to her as a refund. And so this is the main info screen, and this is where we put her personal information. You can scroll down, you can see that we put her as head of household with these 3 dependents. So I'm just going to kind of scroll over so you can see all the correct entries, and then we'll go into why that's the case after. So down here you don't need to worry about it too much. These are red, that will all be automatically entered into the software that we'll be using during the actual preparation process, and this doesn't affect the answers of the practice problems. So the easiest way to check your work is to go to the 1040. So up at the top here, you'll see we have the head of household filing status with all 3 dependents, her income from wages, her income from unemployment. This is where the student loan interest should go as an adjustment. So the adjusted gross income should be $37,233, which if you go on to page 2 of the 1040 will pop up at the top. This is going to be her standard deduction. Reduces her taxable income. Here are the exemptions. She gets 4. Reduces her taxable income down again, and then it looks like she's paying a 10% tax, so she would owe $1,268 for all of her earnings. Retirement savings contribution $120, child tax credit $1,148, which zeroes out her taxable income, so that everything that she paid in through the federal tax withholdings through her wages and through the unemployment, she will get back refunded to her. Here's her earned income credit, the additional child tax credit, which equals to the total refund of $3,342. So for those of you that just wanted to see what the correct answer is, there it is. And then if you may have made a mistake, we'll go into all the different pages to see what you entered and why it didn't pop up as it did. So we'll go back to the main info screen. And so you can just double check your filing status that you chose, and then here's the dependents. You can see that the earned income credit is checked for both Courtney and Artis, as well as the child tax credit, but not checked for Monica. So she's still getting the exemption, but she won't be getting earned income credit or any child tax credit for her. It's really all that you had to enter. Here's the direct deposit information, but that won't reflect on the answer. Here's the W-2. So you had to check this button here to take the calculations off lines 3, 4, 5, and 6. And when you do that, you have to hit save in order for it to update and for you to be able to manually enter in on these lines that are now blue. They were originally green. And so pay attention to make sure that you have all those numbers correct. And on code 12, she did have $1,200. That's her retirement plan. And that would have prompted you to take a look at the 8812. I'm sorry, the 8880. Okay, so this is where it would have flowed. So you would have had to answer this question up here. Was the taxpayer a full-time student in 2013? No. And then that credit of $120 would have flowed. You did have to answer that question. And so you see when everything's red, you do have to pay attention to it and go in there and check and see if there's any questions that you need to answer. This one doesn't affect the correct answer because there weren't any other total distributions. So if you leave it as 0, it will just appear as 0. And so only the $120 will be calculated. So we'll go back to the 1040 and look at all the other forms that needed to be entered. So you see the main info screen flows the status, the exemptions, the wages we just visited. So the next one is the unemployment compensation that you had to pull up a 1099G worksheet. So you can just go to add to add the 1099G. So another one was just added because we did have to add this original one. Another way to get there is if you don't know how to enter the unemployment income, you just go to this line here. And it should link on your version. It should be a link that pops up. There's not for this computer, but that's another way to find out where to enter different forms. You go to the 1040 itself, and then you can link out from that page. So let's just go look at the 1099G and see what that looks like entered correctly. Not much to enter here. You just put the name and the number that you'll find on the form in the book, total amount of benefits, and then the federal income tax withholding. So again, you can see that she had the wages, the unemployment, contributions to the retirement account, which you entered from the W-2, and then had the 8880 pulled up on its own and was red, so you know to go visit that and answer the question about her not being a full-time student. The only other thing she had was student loan interest, so just getting you familiar with everything. Here's how we enter the socials for her and her dependents. As you discovered, Willie wasn't to be entered, and we can go into some of the details on why. So they give you some other information here, and we can go through this. But just for those that want to make sure they have the right answer, we entered the W-2. Here's what the 1099G looks like. And that's it for this person. So nice and simple for the first one to get used to. This is where we got the direct deposit information. This is the routing number. The second number is the account. So it says here that she had $396. You always round up or down. The software will do it for you in student loan interest. So if we go back here, it's actually on 1040 worksheet 2 that you'd enter that under the taxpayer. She doesn't have a spouse. So you enter the 396 there, and then that carries forward onto your 1040 down here. So that's it for the first page of the 1040. All the entries that we had to make. The retirement savings credit, we showed you where that pulled from. The child tax credit pulls automatically. Now you do have to check those boxes on the main info screen when you're entering the dependents. There's these boxes here. And so the child tax credit would apply, and it should automatically pull for you as you go, especially with the software that we'll be using for the tax preparation itself. And then earned income credit, we did check, and so the child tax credit automatically flows. Earned income credit, there are some questions to answer, and you can read through these one by one to make sure both these children qualify for the credit. Her income was below the amount. If you have 2 qualifying children, $46,000, so she's going to be eligible for some of the credit since her income's only $37,000. The kids aren't married. They lived in the United States. No one else can claim them as a dependent. They have qualifying Social Security numbers, so they qualify. Okay. And again, that's presented here. They live with her full time. She paid all the household expenses. So the key thing here about Monica qualifying is that her Social Security benefits don't qualify as income. If we go into what qualifies someone as a dependent, that's the key there, is that her income has to be below a certain amount, and Social Security doesn't count toward that gross income for her in this case. So Willie, we don't enter him because he is not someone under the same chart. Let's just pull this up since we have some time for those that want to continue. Easy way to search here. Publication 4012 is where you're going to be referencing more than any other publication when trying to prepare tax return. That and the publication 17. And so let's just take a quick look at this one topic. This just gets you familiar with how to reference questions. So it's a spiral bound book, so it's easy to flip to the different pages, the different tabs. This is about the filing status and then exemptions, dependents, who you can claim. And so for the dependents, her 2 kids, it must be your child, must be under the age of 19, and as you can see, the kids are only 14 and 13. Lived with you for more than half the year. Yes, they told us that. The child must not have provided more than half of his or her own support. That's true. Child is not filing a joint return. No, they're not married to anyone. And no one else is going to claim the children. Okay, so that works for the 2 kids. Now let's look over here for the mom, Monica. Not the qualifying child of any other taxpayer. Okay. Person is either related to you in one of the ways listed under relatives who do not have to live with you, or must live with you all year as a member of your household. Okay, so if Willie would have lived there all year as a member of her household, then he could have possibly qualified as a dependent if his income was under $39,000. And so in the description here, it says that Willie moved in April 18th. He doesn't have any income, so he would qualify for that portion, but he wasn't related in one of the ways, and he wasn't living with her the entire year, so that's what makes him ineligible. Monica's income, Social Security doesn't even tell us how much, if it's over that $3,900 limit or not. So we have to just check. The main point is that it's the Social Security, which doesn't count toward the gross income because it's not taxable for her. So that should be everything you need to know about how to get to the right answer. And so if you have any questions, just contact your site coordinator, and they can go more in depth on the tax law and its application.